I'm Sam Gerrans. Today is Saturday, 23rd of March, 2024, and I'm going to be addressing the accusation that I hate Muhammad. All right, well, today I'm going to be addressing some of the comments that I got on my last video, in which I looked at what Muhammad knew about the Day of Judgment according to the Qur'an. I've had to clear out some of those comments because I try to keep it family friendly. I don't mind people disagreeing with me if it's kept reasonably respectful, but I don't sort of just provide a place where people can spew out whatever they want. But anyway, what I'll do is just really address these points because I think they're important. It's not that I'm trying to sort of convince anybody. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I think that's part of my point. What I am doing is doing my own due diligence. I'm assessing the Quran on the basis of its contents to my own satisfaction. If I find the Quran to be lacking, I will leave it. In fact, that's a Quranic position, actually. Bring something better. I don't care what other people believe. It's not important to me, but it is important to me what I believe. And what I found was there were really sort of three types of unpleasant response. As I say, some of them I had to delete because I can't allow that on there. One is insults of an unrelated accusation. One was, which I did have to remove, that apparently I'm a racist towards, I think it was Arabs. I think that's what they were saying. I don't know why that would be the case exactly. But it is. I did think that was a little bit indicative of really the religion, because it becomes a religion about somehow being an Arab is a special thing. But what we see in the Quran is that that's not a special thing at all. In fact, on the Day of Judgment, according to the Quran, Muhammad himself will say, "These my people have abandoned this Quran." So I don't know where they get that from, but who cares? Another one was, when I left these on, these were more expansive wanderings into claims that things which I demonstrate are contradictory, are somehow not contradictory. Well, you can't reason with no reason. It's not possible. So again, people are welcome to think what they like, but this is my process of due diligence. I'm doing that process, and people can assess it. They can agree with it. They can disagree with it. It doesn't really bother me. But if you'll notice, I don't go out to attack those people, individually. They can do what they like. I'm explaining what makes sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't watch this channel. If it does make sense to you, think about it. Perhaps you can improve upon it. I don't know. But the one I want to deal with is, because I think this is important, and I'm not going to name any names. It's a common enough accusation, is that the arguments that I'm making are disrespectful to Muhammad. I think that's completely illogical, actually. The idea was that what I was doing, what I am, and what I do in my presentation is I illustrate the tension between the recipient of the Quran and the character named Muhammad in this other literature. I'm pointing out that they're different, that they are different people, different characters. What's happening? This is so elementary. I fail to understand why it needs to be pointed out, but clearly it does. Is that people are conflating the recipient of the Quran, Muhammad, who received the Quran, with this character in the Hadith. And what they're saying is that you are somehow being disrespectful to Muhammad, the Prophet of God, who received the Quran, because you don't accept this other stuff invented in his name 200 years later. You reject it on the basis of what he himself received. Now, I just ask you to consider for a moment, whether you accept this or not. For myself, okay? Consider for a moment, I've essentially committed career suicide in order to follow this book. It would be fine. Everybody's quite happy if you join a received way of seeing things. And if I'd sort of joined Brand Islam, I'm sure I would have found a very, given my talents, I'm sure I would have found a certain amount of a warm reception. But I didn't do that. What I did was I followed this book, the book which all Muslims understand and accept was received by Muhammad. So what I'm doing is not that I'm failing to follow Muhammad, from as far as I can see, at least. What I am failing to do is to follow actually a group of Persians who appeared 200 years later and wrote down a whole load of stuff that Muhammad himself did not see fit to write down. So if you want to accuse me of anything, you can correctly say that I disrespect, if you wish to use that term, the Persians of that time whom you follow. But to say that I disrespect Muhammad is not correct. It's just factually incorrect. And I think if you're going to be honest, what you need to do is to understand that conflating these two things is itself disrespectful of Muhammad. If you're going to conflate the recipient of the Quran, Muhammad, the last, the messenger, and the seal of the prophets, with these men, with these, the fact that they were entirely Persians perhaps is irrelevant, but they were men. You're conflating that a prophet with these other men. That, in my view, from where I'm standing, is disrespectful. However, that's up to each man to decide for himself. But I'm just explaining that for me, if the true respect for the prophet is expressed through following that which he received, no matter how much tension that puts you in this world. That's my position. Anything else? No, that's basically it. I have to kind of scan through the comments. I don't answer any of them on my YouTube channel. I try to leave as many as I can, but I do unfortunately have to remove ones which are simply, violent or rude to this point. But anyway, I've dealt with this now. I hope this, answers your question. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.